You rejoin once you are removed. So I was saying that labor, when you have the employees, you can remunerate employees either daily, you can remunerate employees either weekly, you can remunerate the labor force either on a hourly basis, or you can remunerate them on a monthly basis. So mean that I can either pay my workers on a daily basis. So the number of days that an employee has worked, those are the days that I will pay for. Or I can decide to pay on a hourly basis. How many hours have you worked in a day? Those are the ones that I pay. Or how many weeks have you worked? I can pay, remunerate weekly. Or I can remunerate monthly. That is if I'm paying maybe a fixed salary. Okay? So labor can be remunerated in 3 forms, either daily, weekly, monthly, depending. And also, the labor force, every organization, you find that you need to have a different mix. You may not employ only skilled workers. You may require maybe those who are highly skilled, those who are semi-skilled, and maybe those who are unskilled. So you may need 3 categories: the skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled, because each category has got its work. So when we are computing some of these labor variances, we need to see how is the labor remunerated. Is it daily? Is it hourly? Because now, like you see in the formula, I'm putting, like if you're computing labor cost variance, I'm saying that it is standard labor cost for actual output minus actual cost. So to get the standard labor cost for actual output, you need to get the standard hourly rate, okay, times standard hours for actual output, then minus actual hours times actual hourly labor rate. But that is if you've been given the hours. That is in case they tell you that the employees are remunerated on a hourly basis. So that means that if I say standard hourly rate, but then if the employees are remunerated, the labor force is remunerated on a daily basis, then I may not use hours here. I may say standard daily rate. If it is weekly, then I may not use daily or hourly. I will say standard weekly rate. Okay? Then times the standard weeks may be for actual output. If it is monthly, then I will say standard monthly rate. So this one will change depending on how the labor force is remunerated. Because I said that you can remunerate on the basis of hours, you can remunerate on the basis of days, weeks, month. I don't think there is anyone who can work for a year without pay. Can you work for a year without pay? Edward Travers, can you work for a year without pay?
Of course not, sir.
Yes, so you can
Of course
do.
not.
You can do. Who is that one? Who can work for a year without pay?
Mugabe can do. I can
And that
say.
is a challenge because you are going to finish, and then because you are looking for a job, and then you find that you tell the interviewer that me, I am willing to work for any pay. You must set standards. We looked at the different types of standards. You need to set a standard for yourself. When they ask you what is your salary expectation, and then you say, me, I'm willing to work for any pay because you really want the job, then I will not give you if I am an employer. Because if you get someone who can work for any rate, that means that the output will be 0. Because you must put a price, set a price for, can you price yourself? Because Because if I ask you, what do you expect? And then you say, anything that you give me, I will be able to do what? That means that your output must be really not there. So there is no one who can work for a whole year without pay. I don't think that one is possible. Like you go somewhere, you do an interview, and then they say, we shall be paying you maybe this much per year. Can you manage? Who says you can manage? There is no one. So basically the remuneration could be either per hour or per day, per week, or per month. Okay? So as you compute labor cost, you need to get the standard hourly rate times standard hours for actual output minus actual hours times actual labor rate. And this labor cost variance, if I can take you back to our chart for cost variances, you see the chart is here. Because we say that the labor cost is subdivided into labor rate, labor efficiency, and then idle time. And labor efficiency is also subdivided into mix and also labor what? Yield variance. So we're going to compute, for today, we're going to compute the labor cost variances. So that next week, we finalize with overheads. And then before we look at revenue, and that will be marking the end of variances. So we have looked at labor cost, how you compute labor cost. We say that labor cost is got by standard labor cost minus actual labor cost. And how do you get the standard labor cost? The standard hourly rate times standard hours for actual production minus actual hours times actual labor rate. So that gives us the labor cost variance. But this labor cost, I said it is subdivided into two. So it's subdivided into labor rate, okay, labor efficiency, and then idle time. So when I talk of labor rate, you're basically comparing the standard. What had you planned to pay to remunerate the workers? And then you compare with what you've actually paid and see, is there any variance? Because if you find that what you had planned is the same as what you've actually paid, then that means there is no variance. There is nothing to do what? To really look at. Because whatever you had planned is what I've exactly paid. But in most cases, you find that that may not be the case. For example, I had planned to pay 10,000 per hour, and you find that I've paid more than that, or I've paid less than that. If I pay more than that, then that means the variance would be there, but adverse. If I pay less than that, less than what I had planned, then it will be a favorable variance. It is in your favor. So, computing the labor rate, we need to get the actual labor hours. And I say that these variables will always change depending on how labor is remunerated. Actual labor hours, it could even be actual daily rate, or actual weekly rate, or actual monthly rate, depending on how the labor force is remunerated. Then times the standard labor rate minus actual labor rate. AH times SR minus AR. So what could be the causes of labor or wage rate variance? Why is it that you may find that there is a variance between what you had planned to pay and what you've actually paid? Of course, if there are variations in the basic wage rates, you expect a variance. Also, if you use a different method of wage payment, you expect what? A variance. Use of a different method of wage payment. Then when you employ workers of grades different from the standard grades specified. For example, you had specified maybe your plan was to hire a diploma holder, now you've decided to hire a graduate. Of course, not all of them will be paid the same rate. unscheduled overtime, okay, or if there is overtime work in excess of what was provided, automatically you expect a variance. That's why organizations in most cases, they always, they're very strict with overtime. To work overtime, it must be authorized. Okay. New or fresh workers who are not being paid at full rates, especially the fresh graduates. Like you go for an interview, they ask you, how much do you expect to, what is your salary expectation? And then you say whatever you want to say because you really feel you want to get the job. They will give it to you. Some employees, especially private companies, they will give you. And later on you realize that whatever you're getting is not at the same rate with what others are getting. Okay. Or you find that employees, when they are hired, the first 6 months, maybe they are put on probation. And when you're on probation, maybe you find that you're not getting a full rate. So once you finish your probation and you're confirmed, maybe in service, then that's when they can give you your full pay. Faulty recruitment and placement of workers. Yes, you find that the workers are placed in wrong places, or you've hired employees not meant to be hired. Okay, we expect a variance, especially in terms of the rates that you're going to pay. Now, labor efficiency. Now, the labor efficiency is that portion of labor cost which is due to the difference between the labor hours specified and the actual labor hours expended. Okay. Now, when you're looking at efficiency, you're looking at the time taken. Okay. What time have you taken to complete or to produce a given level or given unit of output? And for us to compute our labor efficiency, we need to get the standard rate minus standard hours, standard rate into standard hours minus actual hours. And I've said that, yes, in most cases you find that I'm using hours here. But you need to know that employees are not only remunerated on the basis of hours. So they can be remunerated in various forms as I indicated, either daily, weekly, or monthly. So you need to note that. So that if you find weeks now, you say, because in some cases you find that I will have given you days. I tell you that the company maybe is paying a daily rate of this. And then you find somebody is computing, he wants to get the hours because he knows that in the formula maybe there are hours. No, please. Once I've given you days, then look at get the standard days minus actual days. Don't go and then you want to compute and you want to get the hours. Okay, because I've said that labor you can eliminate employees on the basis of hours. You can eliminate on the basis of days worked. You can enumerate on the basis of weeks, also monthly. I think we are together on that. So what are the possible causes of labor efficiency? Variance. And with efficiency, we say that we are looking at how efficient have you utilized the time that is available. Okay. For example, if I have a carpentry workshop and I say that at least each chair you should take at least 1 hour to complete it, and then you find that you have used more than that, then that means you are not efficient in whatever you're doing. You have used more time than the planned time. And of course, if you use more time, then it is a cost to the organization, because that means I will pay you for more hours, assuming I'm paying you on the basis of days or hours worked. That means you will take more hours. You have used more hours than what I had planned, because I had planned that at least each chair, you should take an hour to assemble it and put it there. But if you use more than 2 hours, then that means that it is a cost on my side, because I will pay you 2 hours when you've given me 1 unit of output instead of the 2 units. Because that was my plan, that every hour you need to have the final product there. So possible causes of labor efficiency: 1, changes in working conditions or environment. Of course, if you find that the working conditions are not favorable, you do not expect employees to be efficient. Then also, once new tools or equipment are introduced, and then you find that maybe employees are not trained on how to use them, then that means they will take more time. Lack of supervision. If you find that there is no supervision, because you find that in most cases some employees will give you results once they are properly supervised. So if there is no supervision, you may not get the output. Use of inferior or non-standard materials. Yes, if they find that the raw materials used of poor quality, there is no way you would expect employees to be efficient. Time wasted, especially where you find that you are waiting for materials or there is machine breakdown. Okay, so that means you will use more time. Inadequate training of workers, and also change in the method of operations or production process. So all those could be the possible causes of labor efficiency variance. Then the last one under labor cost variance is idle time. Okay, and the idle time variance is that part of labor cost variance which represents the difference between the idle normal standard cost, normal standard cost, and the idle actual cost that is incurred. And the normal idle time is always provided for at a standard setting process, but because of certain factors, such as machine breakdown or power failure, the company may register more idle time than the specified one. Okay, and computing the idle time variance, we need to get the idle standard time minus actual idle time, then times the standard hourly rate. So we have got an example. So we're going to go through this example, then meaning that by the end, then you should be able to compute these variances. So I think we are all at par. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What amuses me, there are people who are very, very active on WhatsApp, but you come online or you come to class, you will never talk. People who are very active. In fact, now I'm going to be noting. I see your participation on the WhatsApp platform vis-a-vis the online, or if there is any physical class to be there. Because we find people are very active. Midnight you're posting, but come here online, you can't even say anything, or to even unmute your microphone and say, hey, I'm getting you. So now there is an example. The standard cost sheet of KK Limited shows that production of each unit requires 1 hour at Uganda shillings 2,000 each. So during the period, 2,500 units were produced in 2,100 hours with a total amount of 3.57 million. Out of the 2,100 hours taken on production, 100 hours were spent waiting for materials and tools by employees. So they're saying that you determine the labor cost variance, the labor rate, the labor efficiency, and then idle time variance, ITV. So can you do that? Hmm?
No, sir.
No. Kona, wait, you can't do it.
Sir, at least try do for us the first example, then we shall try the rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I saw also on the platform you're indicating that your results are missing. Which results now?
Okay, the results of year 3, semester 1.
The physical ones, for the exam that you did physically, then you won't tell me that when we processed, unless you tell me that you've not cleared tuition, because at least all the results were processed and there are no missing results.
Yes, okay, because we are seeing different things on the Alpha app. Yes, and most results in the Alpha app are not correct. Others are showing that we have zeros. Others are even not showing any results at all.
So, have you?
Yes, I've tried talking to Mercy and she's kind of busy. She's telling me to wait. Yes.
Because all the results were really okay. For me, what I have, all the results are okay. Unless you tell me that you've not cleared the tuition, that is where the challenge is.
No, even those ones who have cleared tuition, they still have some problems, sir.
On Alpha?
Yes.
The issues on Alpha, didn't they give you those individual?
No, they didn't. Yes.
Okay. So now looking at this example, the labor cost, I need first, because I say that getting the labor cost, the labor cost variance, what did I say? For me to get the labor cost, I need to get the standard labor cost. Standard labor cost minus actual labor cost. But how do I get the standard labor cost? Because now like here you see, they have given us hours. So it means that I will need to get my standard labor rate. Okay, standard labor rate. I multiply by the standard hours for actual output. Then I subtract the actual hours times actual labor rate. So if I get this, I need to get, let me first get my standard hours. Standard hours for actual output. And the standard cost sheet shows that each unit requires 1 hour. So that means it requires 1 hour. I will multiply this by the actual output. And the actual output, what is the actual output? Is in that during the period 2,500 units were produced. So the actual output is 2,500 units. So meaning that my standard hours for actual output is what? 2,500 hours. I think that one is okay. That is my standard hours. Standard labor rate. Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
2,500 are units, not hours.
Yes, because they are saying these are units. It is okay. They are units. What am I trying to determine? I want the standard hours for actual output. And they're saying that each unit requires 1 hour. So if I want the standard hours for actual output, I need to multiply this standard hours. I multiply by the actual output. And the actual output is 2,500 units. So I mean that if I get 1 hour times 2,500 units, that means I need 2,000. My standard hours are 2,500 hours. That is okay. And the standard labor rate is 2,000 shillings. That is the standard labor rate. And my actual hours in this case is 2,100 hours. And my actual labor cost for these hours, I think the 3,570,000. If I want the rate, if I want the actual labor rate, I need to get this amount divided by these hours. What do you get? If I get 3,570,000 divided by 2,1. So I'll get 1,700. Okay. So coming here to my labor cost, I say it is standard hours for actual standard labor rate, which is 2,000, multiplied by standard hours for actual production, 2,500 hours, then subtract the actual hours, which is 2,100, multiplied by the actual labor rate, which is 1,700. So that gives me a variance of what? Meaning that here I will have, can you, those always active on WhatsApp, please give me the figure.
The total figure is 1,430,000.
First give me for the standard labor cost.
5 million.
5 million.
Then minus 2,1 times 17. Of course, this gives me 3,570,000. What does it imply? That my actual cost is less than the standard cost. I had planned to spend 5 million, but I've actually spent 3.57 million. So that means there is a variance, and it is favorable because I spent less than what I had planned to spend for me to be able to get the planned level of output. So meaning that, what is the difference?
1,430,000.
1,430,000. And it is a favorable variance denoted with the letter F. Remember what I told you? And you see, if you don't be keen and you say you don't really pay much rather attention what we are doing, and you say you're going to do online exams, you'll be disappointed. The moment they open and they say, okay, if you are thinking that you're going to do the exams that you were discussing in groups, you may find that the exam you have to write it individually, not in a group form as you used to do in the previous semester 1 and 2. So that is favorable because you spent less than what you had actually planned to do, what? Spend. So let me go to labor rate. So for labor rate, What did I say for labor rate? If I can take the formula for labor rate, here I said labor rate is got by actual hours so I come here, labor rate, actual hours into, so the actual hours are 2,100 times the standard rate. Standard rate was what? 2,000. Standard rate was 2,000. So minus actual rate was 1,700. So I think this one is also favorable because you paid 1,700 instead of 2,000 that you had planned to do what? Spend. So what is the variance?
$630,000.
Huh?
630,000.
630,000. And this is favorable. Favorable. That is labor rate. Then I got the next one, efficiency. Labor efficiency. So how do I compute labor efficiency? The formula for labor efficiency, rev is here. Labor efficiency. So labor efficiency, say that it is got by standard hours for actual output minus actual hours worked. So meaning that here, my standard labor rate was what? 2,000? Into standard hours. What was standard hours for actual output? It was what? $2,500.
2,500.
So you subtract the actual hours worked. What is the figure for actual hours?
2,100.
2,000?
100.
2,100. No, now the two actual hours worked, since we are looking at efficiency, then we must remove the idle time. The idle time must be removed. So the actual hours actually that you use, because you see the 2,100, there was idle time. And you know, when with idle time, you are not benefiting, neither the organization is benefiting. So mean that we must remove, so mean that our actual hours are 2,000, because the 100 hours were for idle what? Time. But when I'm determining the rate, I must cost all of them. But when I'm looking at efficiency, then the idle time, I will eliminate it. So what do I get here? And it is also still
you get 1 million.
1 million. And it is favorable. And for idle time, say that you need to get the standard idle time minus actual idle time times the standard rate. Okay, so mean that here I will get the idle time, which is 100 hours. I multiply by the standard rate. Because here I will get the idle, the formula is idle time times standard rate. So the idle time, because I'm costing the actual, I don't have the standard, I've not been given the standard. So the actual idle time times the standard rate. So actual idle time is 100 hours times the standard rate of 2,000. That gives me what?
200,000.
200,000. And it is what? Adverse. So now, when I add these three, you need to know that the summation of labor rate variance plus labor efficiency plus idle time variance should give us a labor cost variance. So mean that if I get 630,000 favorable, I add 1 million favorable. Then I also add 200,000 adverse. That gives me
1,830,000.
830.
1,380,000.
Hmm?
1,380,000.
Are you sure? Because my lev,
The idle time was supposed to be adverse, sir.
huh? Because I have 1,430, I should be getting 1,430. This one is adverse.
The idle time is adverse.
1,430,000.
This one should be 1,430,000, which is favorable. So when you sum up the three, you should get your labor rate, rather labor cost, because this is my labor cost, 1,430. If you don't get it, then that, because you see, as we say, when you look at the chart, when you sum up all those three, you should get your labor cost variance. So that is labor. Now, here on labor, we have got labor mix and labor yield. Because as I said, there is no single organization that will employ one category of labor. Because I say that you need workers who are skilled. You need those who are semi-skilled. You need those ones who are unskilled. So you need different grades of labor. Okay? So like the way we saw under material cost, that you may find that there are products that need different ingredients or different inputs to make. Likewise with the labor, you may need different grades or categories. Like if it is a manufacturing, if you have ever gone in a factory and you see all types, find all people. There are those who are managers, sit in office. There are those who are really in the production plant, who are skilled to operate the machines. Then there are those who are there to clean the machines. So all those are the categories that you do what? That you require. Okay? So if that one happens, you find that you need different categories. If you still recall how we computed material mix variance, when it comes to labor mix, we shall also look for the revised standard time. Because you remember for material mix, we looked for revised standard quantity. Rather for material mix, yes, we looked for revised standard quantity. So when we come under labor and we're determining the labor, computing the labor mix variance, we shall also look for the revised standard time. And the way you remember, if you've taken some time to go through material cost variances, because remember for material mix, we were saying that you get to get the revised standard quantity, you get the individual standard units, divided by the total standard units, times the total actual input of raw materials. So likewise here with labor, get the revised standard time, we need to get the individual standard time divided by the total standard time, then times the total actual time of the workers. Okay? So that is how we're going to also determine the labor mix variance. Now, we have an example here for 3 categories, but I will require you to do example 2. Me, I want to do example 3, which enables us to compute even yield, labor yield. So, example 2, I've left it for you. Wait, oh no, wait. This is for wait. Those who are always on WhatsApp. Wait, and who else is always on WhatsApp every time? Doesn't sleep. Who is?
Sir.
Who is it? What Renato, sir?
Sir,
So,
but number 2, example 2 looks to be deadly more than the third one.
What do you mean looks to be deadly? You also become deadly. If it becomes deadly, you also become deadly. How can the number be deadly when you also become deadly?
Sir, just go through it if you can.
Okay? No, I want to do example 3 because they are similar. But why I want example 3 is that it has information that will enable me to compute even labor yield. Because I wanted to look at mix and yield at the same time. So the other ones I will show you how you should do. Now, of course, here they are saying that you compute the various labor variances. So meaning that I would expect you to compute the labor cost variance. That is one. You compute labor rate variance. Then you compute labor efficiency variance. In this case, you do not have idle time. So you will not compute idle time. So you're going to compute labor cost, labor rate, labor efficiency, and actually you can also compute labor mix variance. So these are 4. Because here you see, now when I say mix, because here you're using 3 different categories, skilled, semi, and unskilled. So there are 3 categories of labor. So mean that you can be able to compute labor mix. So before I look at this illustration 2, which example 3, which is almost similar to example 2, but only that it has information that enables us to compute yield. So with labor yield, if you still recall how we looked at material yield, the same approach is used here. Because with labor yield, it represents the difference between the standard labor output and the actual output or yield. And this variance measures the level of efficiency or inefficiency attributable to a favorable or unfavorable yield. So for us to compute the labor yield, we need to get the standard production for actual output minus actual output, then times the standard cost per unit. And if you find that if the actual production is more than the standard production, then the difference would be a favorable variance. And the reverse and vice versa. So when I say vice versa, what do I mean? Let me get somebody who is those who are online and they're always on WhatsApp posting funny stickers.
The reverse is true.
So when you say reverse is true, what does it? Timothy Hija.
Yes, sir.
So when I say and vice versa, can you rephrase that statement? What does it mean?
I beg your pardon, sir.
No, I've I've said if the actual production is more than the standard production, the difference would be favorable, a favorable variance. And then I've said and vice versa. So you rephrase that statement to bring out the vice versa.
When you say actual production will be more, vice versa means that it will be less.
If I do what?
If you say actual production will be more than standard production, it means the vice versa. Vice versa will mean that standard production will be higher, will be less, and actual will increase. When actual increases, standard reduces.
Sure. Are you sure what you're saying?
That's what I think.
So what do you think? Nakanjako, Deborah, do you agree with what Rija has said? You know, there are some people who log in and then they disappear. Nakanjako.
Yes, please, sir.
Do you agree with what Rija has said?
I do agree with it.
So what do you agree with? Can you tell us what you agree with?
Yes, I do.
Tell us. What do you agree with?
An increase in an increase in the standard.
You agree with what? You see, there are people who are online. John Baptist Mugabe. You're always on WhatsApp.
Yes, please, sir.
So
if you are saying that the actual production is more than standard, and that one being favorable, it means that when standard production is more than actual production, that one means that it is advanced.
And the word is adverse, not advance. Said it is adverse. There's a difference between adverse and advance.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, how do you compute labor yield? Labor yield variance is got by standard yield for I think this one I've already done. So let's look at this example 3. And my focus is going to be on labor mix and labor yield. I will just show you how to compute the other variances, but my focus is going to be on labor yield and labor mix. Now they're saying Math Limited plant produce 5,000 units of a certain product in 10 days. And the categories of workers involved in the production process include skilled and skilled. Number of workers here, 20, 40. You have been given the rate per day. Then you have also been given the actual. Then you have also been given the rate per day, actual rate. Then they are saying that the workers took 12 days to produce the same amount of output. And the same amount of output, of course, is 5,000. Okay? Units. That's what you need to note. So mean that the standard output was the same as the actual output. But the days taken, the plan was 10 days, but the workers actually took 12 days. That is also what you need to note. Okay? Now they're saying that you calculate the labor yield and labor mix variance and other labor variance. So so the variances that you need to compute here would be labor cost variance, labor rate variance, labor efficiency variance, then labor mix variance, because I don't have idle time in this case, and then labor yield variance. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, before I compute those variances, I need to first establish what is the standard time, and what about the actual time. So now, if I look at the standard days, the standard days here, the standard time, standard time. So I have categories. I have category. I have skilled. Then I also have skilled. So these are three categories that I have. Skilled, and then I also have unskilled. And here, the skilled, the number of workers here, number of workers, how many days is this one going to for skilled? How many workers do you need? You have 20 and 40. 20 and 40. $20 and $40. And the time, the days. Here they're going to work how many days? The standard. The standard days are 12, are 10. Here they are also 10. They're also 10 days. So mean that the total days, the total time, the total days. This is going to be 20 times 10. 200.
200.
40 times 10.
400.
400. So mean that when you add these two, what is the total?
600.
600. Okay. So that is the standard time. Then I also determine the actual time. You can copy this so that I just change the figures. We paste it here. This is the actual
Time.
Actual time. What is the skilled number of workers? For actual, the actual here.
22.
22.
22. Then unskilled, how many?
38.
38. And the days, actual days, is 12. And then here it is 12. So when you multiply, what do you have? 22 times 12?
264.
254. Then here?
264.
264.
264.
Then what about here?
8 times 12 plus 254 plus 264.
456.
456
This is what? 456.
plus
38 times 12.
700.
456.
So plus 264, what do you get? 720.
20.
Are you sure? Which version? Which version of the calculator is that? So I have got the actual days and the standard days. Now, when I'm computing my labor cost variance, if I'm computing my labor cost variance now, I'm going to show you how we're going to do, because me, I want to compute mix and yield. So labor cost variance, I would,
The total figure is wrong.
what do you have?
It's 720.
720, as I told you.
720.
720.
720.
Yeah.
So if I'm computing my labor cost, I will have for skilled. Remember the formula is standard labor cost minus actual labor cost. That is my formula. Standard labor cost minus actual labor cost. So that means I will have two categories: skilled. For skilled, then I also have unskilled. Okay. So meaning that for skilled, the standard labor cost, to get my standard labor cost, I said it is, now here it is going to be standard days times standard daily rate. Because now it is no longer hourly, but it is now in terms of days, because here we are remunerating workers on the basis of days. Then minus actual days times actual daily rate. So my standard days for skilled is 200 here. So I'm going to use this because there are 20 workers and each worker works for 10. So I'm going to enumerate these 200. So you'll have 200, and the standard rate for skilled is what?
400.
It is not 100. The standard rate is
4,000.
4,000. So I multiply this by 4,000. Then minus actual days. Actual days here for skilled 264. So I get 264 multiply by the actual daily rate. And the actual daily rate is what? For skilled 3,800.
800.
So I multiply this by 380. I get the variance for that. Then I also go and do the same for unskilled. The standard days is what? For skilled, it is
400.
400. multiply by the daily rate,
2,500.
25, then minus the actual days, 1 skewed, 4, 5, 6, multiply by the actual daily rate. What is the amount?
2,800.
2,800. So you get the variance. And if you find that the actual labor cost is greater than the standard, then the variance would be unfavorable. So mean that I expect you to add, then you get your, you will get for each category, then you will get the total labor cost variance after adding whatever you get. Then you also go now compute the labor rate. Labor rate variance, that is the second one. And the formula for labor rate, we said it is what? What is the formula for labor rate?
Actual labor hours times standard labor rate minus actual labor rate.
Yes, it is here. But now instead of using hours, we shall use actual days. Because now here we are enumerating in terms of what? Days. So I will not use hours. But I will come and say labor rate. It is what? Actual, instead of saying actual hours, I will say actual days times standard rate minus actual labor rate. Okay? So actual days here, so we'll have two categories, skilled and unskilled. Then I know that my actual days here is what? I go back to my other working. Actual days, here it is 264 into standard rate. The standard is 4,000 minus actual rate, which is
3,800.
3,800.
800.
Then here it is 456 into
2,500
2,500
minus 2,800.
2,800.
Yeah.
Then you compute for each and get your total labor rate, total R.
Total labor rate.
Okay, so you compute and get your total labor rate variance. Of course, you'll be adding the two. Then you also do the same for labor efficiency. I've shown you what to do. You also compute for labor. But now I want to show you how do you compute for labor mix. Labor mix variance. So the labor mix, I say that you need to get the revised standard time minus actual time, then multiply by what? Multiply by the standard labor rate. And how do I get the RST? If you recall, like the way we used for material mix, we will get the individual. So we'll get the individual individual standard time minus, rather divide by total standard time by total standard time. Then I multiply this by total actual time. So meaning that if I want to determine my RST for skilled, the individual standard time for skilled here is 200 out of 600. Okay, so it's going to be 200 divided by 600. Then I multiply by the total actual time. And I think the total actual time was 720. So I will get this plus this, it gives me 720. So if you multiply by 720, so you will get for skilled. Then I do the same for unskilled. Unskilled. The individual is 400 out of 600 times 720. So what do I get for the upper one?
240.
So here I get 240. Then here, $480. 80. So that's when you add these
408.
When you add these two, they should give you a total of 720. Okay. So having determined my revised, then I can come here in my formula. I determine my skilled, my variance for skilled. So the revised standard time is 240 minus the actual time. The actual time for skilled was what? 264. Okay. Then you multiply this by the standard labor rate. And what was the standard labor rate? It was 4,000. Then you get the variance. Then I do the same for unskilled. The revised is what? 480. 480 minus the actual, which is, what is the actual?
456.
The actual is 456. Then times the standard rate. The standard was, the standard daily rate.
2,500.
2,500. I compute. Now, of course, when you look at this, for skilled, the labor mix, you had planned to use 240 days, but you actually used 264. So this is going to be adverse. Now here you had planned to use 480, you used 456. This is favorable. So what do I get here? 240 minus 264.
96,000 adverse.
96,000.
And this is adverse. Then for this,
60,000 favorable.
60,000 favorable. So that when you add the two, your total labor mix variance would be, we have 96. So what do you have? 30?
36,000
And
adverse.
it is adverse. So that is your labor mix. Like the way you saw we computed, the way we computed material mix, it is the same approach. You need to look for the revised standard what? Time. Okay. Then lastly for today is the labor yield. The labor yield variance. Labor yield. And for labor yield, labor yield variance, LYV. We say that compute the labor yield, you need to get, this is the formula. Labor yield is got by standard production for actual output minus actual output times the standard cost per unit. So my standard production for actual output, so to get my standard production for actual output, standard production for actual output, I need to get the standard time, which is 600, okay, divided by the total actual, which is 720. Then times the, so we'll get 600 divided by what? 720 times the total actual input. Total actual what is the total actual? No. They're saying that Mart plant produced 5,000 units of a certain product in 10 days. And then the categories of workers involved in production process, the workers took 12 days to produce the same amount of output. Yes, here the standard is the same as the actual. So once you multiply by 5,000, what do you get? What do you get? Those who are giving figures, where have you gone? Data issues?
4,166.67.
Huh?
4,166.67.
4,000.
4,166.666.
No, it should have been the actual. This one it should have been it should have been 720, not divided by the 600.
Okay.
Get the actual time.
6,000.
720. So this is 6,000. Eh?
Yeah.
Then for standard cost per unit, the standard cost per unit. So what is the standard cost per unit? I need to say for skilled, it is what? What is for skilled? Yes? Are you still on board?
So we beg your pardon.
Yes, sir, but
Because now I'm looking for the standard cost per unit. So how do I get this standard cost per unit? So how do I get the standard cost per unit? So I'll be getting this rate, 4,000 multiplied by the time. What was the time? So I'll get 4,000 times 200. So here we'll get 4,000 times 200. Then I add what is the other rate? I get 2,500 times what? 400.
400.
2,500 times 400. What do you get?
1,800,000.
1,800,000. Okay. Do you get 1.8?
yes.
Then you divide this by the total output, rather by the standard output. So we divide this by the standard output, and the standard output is what? 5,000. So that means that our standard cost per unit in this case is what?
360.
Is 360 shillings. Okay, so having got my standard production for actual output and then the standard cost per unit, I'll come here, my ROIV, standard production for actual output. I have what? 6,000 units. I subtract the actual output, which was 5,000. Then I multiply by the standard cost per unit, which is 360.
Which is
That gives me
360,000.
360,000.
360,000.
Yeah, like that.
And it is, when you look at it, the actual output is 5, while the standard is, so that means this is adverse. Because when you look at the actual output, the standard was 6 and you actually got, the yield was 5. So you got less than what you had anticipated. So mean that this is going to be adverse. That is your material yield. So I want you to compute, because now I have computed, I want you to complete this labor cost, labor rate, labor efficiency. So, and you get, if you get your labor yield plus labor mix,
Still
that
an
one, no. We are still in class. So add, if you get your labor mix plus labor yield, you should get labor what? Efficiency. So in other words, if you compute labor efficiency and you find that if you get your yield and you add mix, you don't get labor efficiency, then that means there is an issue somewhere which you need to correct. So I will stop here for today. So our next session is going to focus on overheads. Once we finish overheads, I think we would be done with cost variances, and then we shall be moving to revenue or sales what? Variances. So meaning that we have 2 sessions complete this area. Okay? Otherwise,
Yes,
thank you for attending. Yes? Any issue?
just wanted to thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Make sure that you really revise. Otherwise, if you only attend, you never know, we might have physical exams come August. So don't say that institutions are closed. Anytime they can open. And then you find that you're going to sit for physical exams when you've not